It is the day after Thanksgiving, so I'm sure many of you are cleaning out the fridge for your meals. Meanwhile, the Chicago Bears are bringing this back to the glory days, so at least one step closer to that. The Bears are 9-3. They just went into Philadelphia and destroyed the Eagles. The game was not as close as the 24-15 final score would indicate. It's almost like the Bears are playing with the type of physical dominance that they exerted back when the fridge was on their team. That is William the Refrigerator Perry, member of that 85 Bears Super Bowl team. The 49ers won the Super Bowl in the 1984 season. Perry, at 335 pounds, is the heaviest player to score a touchdown in Super Bowl history, even though his home position was defensive tackle. He also has the largest ring size, the largest Super Bowl ring size in NFL history, a size 25 ring. What I read is that size 10 to 12 is the average for an NFL player getting fitted for a ring, but the Refrigerator Perry was 25. Anyway, it's time to talk about the Bears because the 49ers are going to be playing the Bears on December 28th. That's going to be Sunday Night Football at Levi's Stadium. It is going to be an absolute showdown because the Bears ran completely roughshod over the Philadelphia Eagles. This was the number 3 run defense in all of football entering this game, Philadelphia. But look at what the Bears did against the Eagles. Here's the final box score of this one. 47 carries, 281 yards, 6 yards a carry. That average went down toward the end of the game as they were just trying to salt away the victory. I'll give you some perspective. In the 2019 season NFC Championship game, when the 49ers absolutely savaged the Green Bay Packers on the ground, San Francisco averaged 6.8 yards per carry. They were unstoppable on the ground but that Packers defense was not one of the top 3 run defenses in all football. Philadelphia entered this game literally number 3. One of the teams they were behind, the Cleveland Browns. The 49ers faced them in potential snow on Sunday on the shores of Lake Erie. So what the Bears did today was absolutely stunning. They moved to 9-3, not because of a squeak by win, thanks to a bunch of takeaways, giveaways, winning in the turnover department. They do it by bludgeoning and bullying the Philadelphia Eagles on the road. 47 carries, 281 yards, 6 yards a carry on the ground. Caleb Williams was not very good today. I mean, if you want to look at the quarterback comparison in this game, both Jalen Hurts and Caleb Williams were negative efficiency. You could even argue that Jalen Hurts is a little bit more productive than Caleb Williams. The regular stat line for Williams, 17 of 36, 154 yards, 4.3 per attempt. This was the Bears' run game. And that is something to pay really, really close attention to because the 49ers have a resurgent run defense, and this is why they focused so much on it, is because you don't want what happened to the Eagles today to happen to you if you are the 49ers. But the thing is, the Eagles thought that they had a fine run defense as well. I think that it illustrates how wide open the NFL is. If a team like the Bears can go into Philly and rack up 6 yards a carry, nearly 300 yards on the ground against the top 3 run defense in football, who's safe in this league? I mean, all these teams are built to rush the passer with reckless abandon. The Eagles as well. They picked up Jalen Phillips from the Dolphins for a 3rd-round pick. You go to the Texans, they're manufactured to get after the passer. I think the Cleveland Browns are too. But Cleveland, the one thing about the 49ers' next opponent, they are good at both. The Browns have the number 1 run stop win rate and the number 1 pass rush win rate because Myles Garrett's an all-world player in both directions. So I would almost argue that the Browns' defensive line, because of their ambidexterity against both the run and the pass, the defensive line that the 49ers will see on Sunday is shaping up to be clear-cut the best D-line in all football. When the 49ers played the Texans this year, Houston was like the number 19 or number 20 defense against the run. obviously overwhelming and awesome rushing the passer. We've seen the 49ers already play the Rams this season. That they've got a good front as well, but I think they're a little bit weaker against the run than the Cleveland Browns, who are number one in both regards, pass rushing and run defense. So it is going to be fascinating indeed to see this 49ers offense, which is back essentially at full strength. I know that the Brandon Ayuk situation, that's very dramatic. That obviously has not been fully resolved yet, but the 49ers aren't counting on him this year. They're counting on the guys that they have active and in the building right now. And this is the healthiest that they've been on the offensive side of the ball essentially all year. And we will see how that ends up playing out against this really, really good Cleveland team in potential snow on Sunday. There was lake effect snow over the course of the Thanksgiving holiday. The stadium is right on the shores of Lake Erie. That means at the very least, you're going to get a lot of wind in this game on Sunday. It's an earlier start. I don't think that makes a difference in Cleveland. I think that wind comes off the lake at any time of the day. If you're a Clevelander and you know a little bit more about the weather patterns and about the wind and how it swirls in that stadium, you could let me know. All I do know is that the 49ers lost their last time in Cleveland when their kicker, Jake Moody, missed twice on kicks that were likely affected by that wind coming off of Lake Erie. So it is going to be a potentially treacherous game in that regard. The 49ers will be on their backup kicker for the second straight week. The injury report today, Eddie Pinheiro out with a hamstring injury. So it's going to be Matt Gay kicking for the 49ers. Tatum Bethune, ankle injury. He's out. That's a high ankle sprain. We know that the 49ers signed Eric Kendricks a couple days ago. A little bit more on him in a bit. And Sam Okawanu, also a high ankle sprain, is out for the 49ers. So we can actually update our injury page, which I will open up right here. We were looking at the Bears-Eagles box score. That's a game that Chicago, that the 49ers can't worry about for exactly a month. It's November 28. December 28 is when the Bears come into Levi's Stadium for Sunday Night Football. But we can take a look at the 49ers injury situation now. I had it up to date before practice, but I could just zoom in on where the losses are. Nothing on the offensive side of the ball, as you can see, no pink shade. But defensively, Sam Okawanu with a high ankle sprain is out as expected. Tatum Bethune out as expected. Eddie Pinheiro out as expected. So the 49ers going to Matt Gay. In the case of Tatum Bethune, you're probably going to see them call up Jalen Graham again, unless they think Eric Kendricks is ready to go immediately. I would think that Kendricks is something that the 49ers are staving off until after the bye week. But we shall see. Former All-Pro linebacker signed to the practice squad this week. And with Sam Okawanu, the 49ers can make it as simple as activating Robert Beal this week. He was inactive with a concussion last week. He is out of the protocol and was practicing this week for the 49ers. But they can also go to either Andrew Farmer II on their practice squad, a veteran, or William Bradley King on their practice squad. Maybe Beal's active and one of the two defensive ends is called up for San Francisco. They're healthy at tackle, not with Okawanu, who's low-key had a nice season for the 49ers at defensive end. So we will see how they cross that bridge. Wow. I'm still buzzing about that Bears win over the Eagles. I mean, we could take a look at the playoff picture right now. They also have this up on the NFL's stat site. We go to standings. We can go to the conference picture, and I could open this up for you and show you what it looks like. Had the Bears, I talked about this morning, had the Bears lost, the 49ers would have jumped the Bears and moved up to number 6. The Bears would have slid down to number 7. But the Bears winning this game moves them up to number 2. The 49ers have the same record and a potential tiebreaker over Philadelphia, but that tiebreaker only comes into effect if the Eagles are not winning their division, because the 49ers are in the wild card section of this. So the way that it works is that the 4 division winners get automatic berths, and they're seeded 1 through 4 at the top of the conference, in this case the NFC. So that's the Rams at 9-2 out of the West. The Bears continue to lead the North at 9-3. The Eagles are still hanging on in the East at 8-4, and the Bucks are at 6-5, but leading the NFC South. And then the final 3 spots are wild card spots given to the best remaining records. At this point, that's Seattle at 8-3, one less loss than the 49ers. Green Bay at 8-3-1. They tied the Dallas Cowboys, and the 49ers at 8-4. If someone catches Philadelphia, so that is most likely going to be Dallas. Probably can only be Dallas, right, in the NFC East, because the New York Giants are eliminated, and I'm not expecting Washington to resurrect from 3-8. If Dallas somehow catches Philadelphia and the 49ers keep on winning, then yes, the 49ers, Philadelphia would drop into the wild card section of this, and the 49ers could usurp Philly for a better seed, even if they don't win the NFC West. But that's all stuff that we're going to look at further down the line as this continues to develop. For now, the 49ers are just trying to stack as many wins as they can. If the playoffs started today, the 49ers would be in as the number 7 seed in the NFC, and they would play the Chicago Bears on the road, the number 2 seed. One of the 49ers' most famous cold weather games, but I would say it's their most famous cold weather game ever, came against the Chicago Bears in 1989. It was the January 1989 playoff run. It was the 1988 season. The 49ers went to Soldier Field, where wind chill had it at like negative 29 degrees, and the 49ers blew out the Bears. That's when they knocked off the finesse moniker forever. That was the NFC title that led to the second Super Bowl against the Bengals. 49ers won that. Joe Montana, John Taylor, last-minute touchdown. They then turned around and they won another Super Bowl, this one in absolutely dominant fashion against the Denver Broncos, 55-10. The reason I bring up this cold weather surge for the 49ers, even though they play the Bears at home in a month, is because this game against the Cleveland Browns is going to happen in cold weather. It's not going to be negative 20 degrees with wind chill. It's going to be in the 30s, but there's a very good chance that there's going to be some snow. There's a good chance there's going to be some precipitation. If it's well above 32, that turns into sleet. That turns into a game where it's harder for both quarterbacks to grip the football. It's a game that should favor the defenses, although sometimes the footing issues can create issues for the defenses. I think either way that you look at this, it will be a real test for the 49ers. Probably their biggest test over the course of this 4-game stretch in which they are favored in every single one of the 4 games. I really want to get my team tier chart out for you so we can take a look at how this is all shaking out. I will have to make a new one of those right now, get it up on the screen. But the NFL consistently delivers a captivating product, and the Chicago Bears absolutely running over the Philadelphia Eagles is not something that I had on my bingo card. All right, here we have this. Obviously, it doesn't include the most recent game that we just saw right now on Black Friday, but it does include all of the games up until this week in the NFL. As you can see, this is interesting because the 49ers and Bears aren't too far apart from each other. Chicago's had a better defense slightly than the 49ers this year. Their offenses, X-axis stuff, are on the same kind of plane. So when the 49ers play the Bears on the 28th, it's going to be interesting to see where each of these offenses is, because the Bears are obviously hitting some sort of stride. They'll have to face a 49ers run defense that's much better than last year, but the Eagles had the number 3 run defense in the league, and they got trampled by the Bears. I know that Caleb Williams is not playing great football, but what Ben Johnson has been able to do is scheme around him and find a way to make him as effective as possible, but just straight up bludgeon people on the ground. That's what they did today. That game on December 28th has the potential to be a whole heck of a lot of fun. I think a lot of points could be scored in that game. Meanwhile, let's see where the Cleveland Browns are, 49ers' next opponent. I just scrolled over to the left. I'm going to move up to the top here. You can see that Cleveland, their logo is upper left. That means the offense has been terrible, but the defense has been really good. In fact, if you look at this whole thing, only 2 defenses have been more efficient than the Cleveland Browns. The Houston Texans, the 49ers failed miserably against them. And very interestingly, the Rams, the 49ers have moved and scored against the Rams twice this season. So the 49ers have already been fine against technically, statistically, a better defense than the Browns and the Rams up here. But the weather part of all this and the Myles Garrett part of all this does promise to throw a wrench into the effort for San Francisco. The good news for the 49ers is that everybody on the offensive side of the ball is healthy. The bad news is that they're playing Myles Garrett in Cleveland in the snow. More good news for the 49ers is that this is the worst offense they've faced over the past 3-game stretch since taking on the Rams, who are obviously a very good offense over here on the right. Shedeur Sanders and the Browns, that doesn't scare you all too much, especially in bad weather. But when you've got the defense that Cleveland has, you assume that the game is going to be close. And anytime a game is close, you're 1 to 2 plays away from losing, because leverage plays in the NFL are absolutely everything. So I am going to kick back and watch this with absolute fascination. Can the 49ers go on the road, win a gritty weather game, come back 9-4, be set up for their bye week, Tennessee after that? Obviously, that's very likely to be 10-4 if they can get it done in Cleveland this weekend. And if they can do that, what I just watched in Philadelphia with the Chicago Bears running for nearly 300 yards against the Eagles, against the team that was the number 2 seed, had been the number 2 seed in the NFC, everybody is vulnerable in this league. I mean, you can solidify your contender status if you're the 49ers and you beat one of the top defenses in the league in snowy, sleet conditions up in Cleveland this weekend. Absolutely. This is an opportunity for the 49ers to flex their muscles against Myles Garrett and company, while the rest of the league has only shown inconsistency. I mean, even the best team in the league, and I would say based on this, it's the Rams. They're up here in the upper right corner. Even the best team in the entire league has lost to a 49ers skeleton crew back in week 5. That win with Mac Jones and company against the Rams, I think that hammers the point home that on any given Sunday, anything can happen in this NFL, which makes me so damn excited about what we might see between the 49ers and the rest of the season. It's not just Cleveland. It's going to be Tennessee after that. Then the Colts. I mean, I got to get this back up on the screen. The Colts are way over here. Then the Bears. They're right here with the 49ers. We just saw them against the Eagles, though. Then the Seattle Seahawks, a tier above everybody that we're just talking about right here. I mean, this is going to be good stuff. Next 2 games to the 49ers. This is why you want to be 10-4, because you've got the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns, 2 teams all the way over on the left, 2 of the lower tiers in football. Out there, right for the picking. 49ers have a real chance to hit double digits in wins. They're already at 8. They only won 6 last year. So every single win that the 49ers make is already a big step over where they were in 2024. Let's talk. I'm ready. People go out shopping today, or do you guys do most of your stuff online now? Black Friday. I try to avoid the mall on a day like today. Like, even when we were driving places today, it was, don't go anywhere near the shopping center. Just as a kid, I remember that it would be a total disaster on the Friday after Thanksgiving, the Friday of eating out of the fridge. I think Margot Lombardi herself is headed to her parents' house, where we celebrated Thanksgiving yesterday, to pick up some leftovers as we speak, because we just want to finish everything there. We don't want to throw anything away. Just got to continue eating what we had yesterday. All right, I am ready. Carlos says, what's up? Carlos, I think he went to the game against the Panthers. Did he have fun? Well, ask Carlos if he had fun. We got people talking about online shopping. Bill asks, malls are still open? Allegedly. I mean, you drive by some of them and the traffic is still insane. So I would think that they're still open. But obviously, retail has taken a hit. At least in-person retail has taken a hit with all the online shopping. Hey, I really want to talk about this Bears game, because it just adds so much intrigue to this 49ers schedule. I mean, earlier in the year, I was looking at it and I said, okay, well, Indianapolis has started off great. That's going to be a challenge. And then Seattle obviously has lined up as a challenge for a long time in week 18. I kind of said, okay, week 17, 49ers should be able to be favored entering in that game. I'm not sure if they're going to be favored anymore entering the Bears game, considering what they just did to Philadelphia. I mean, that was a complete manhandling. Now, the Bears are not a great defense. That should be established. I don't think that Jalen Hurts is a great quarterback. I wouldn't say that shutting down Jalen Hurts, holding him to this low of an efficiency is some kind of crazy endorsement of the Chicago Bears defense. I think they've got an awesome run game, and everything really builds off of that. But I am struggling, and I don't think I'll ever discover this. I'm struggling to find a team that can knock your socks off in all three phases of the game this year. I mean, in past seasons, you usually were able to find one or two. This year, again, the closest, that's William, that's the fridge, by the way. I accidentally opened this instead of this, but this is our Thanksgiving theme. We're talking about the Chicago Bears. William, the fridge, Perry. The closest that you've got to top efficiency across the board are the Rams this year, up here in the upper right. But their special teams hasn't been good. So there's nobody who's been great across all three phases. That's why there's only one team in the upper right, and that team hasn't been good in the third phase. So it's this amazing setup this year where everyone has got a critical weakness. I mean, Seattle has been the one team that maybe has been most consistent across all three, but obviously not dominant on offense and defense, which is why their logo is right here instead of up here where the Rams are. And the 49ers were able to beat Seattle in week one, even though they were not at full strength. So this league, the entertainment value is at an all-time high, just because you could tune in on any given Sunday and you could find 4 games going down to the last 2 or 3 minutes. And when that happens, then you realize that leverage plays are what are going to decide wins and losses. And there's only going to be a handful of leverage plays per game that you could reduce the game to those plays to determine the outcome of those games. So a team like the 49ers, even though the point differential is not great for San Francisco, I want to see exactly what it is right now. NFL point differential. Let's go to ESPN and see that. But the 49ers are not anywhere near as dominant analytically as they were back in 2023. Yet they're in great position at this point to make a run because they've won at those critical junctures of so many of these games. All right, we've got the ESPN page up. Let's go see what the point differentials are. You could see them in every single division here. So I hope that they've updated this with the latest game that we saw from the Chicago Bears. But we can scroll down and you will see here, look, the NFC West. I'm highlighting what I'm looking at. The Rams are plus 127, which is the best differential in all of football. So Rams, I would say Super Bowl favorites. Differential is often correlated with how well a team does. But the Seahawks are plus 107. It makes sense that they're 8-3 and the Rams are 9-2. Look at where the 49ers are. They're only plus 20. I mean, they're a full 107 points worse in terms of differential than the Rams, yet they're only a game behind them in the win column. They're at 8-4. Every single team in the NFC South has a negative point differential. That's the weakest division in football, I'd say. That you can't say that about any other division. The South has a bunch of negative point differentials from the Bucks to the Panthers. The 49ers just beat the Panthers badly. To the Falcons, to the New Orleans Saints. The 49ers have beaten 3 of the 4 teams in the NFC South. That's helped them to the record that they have, that 8-4 record, being matched up with the NFC South and being matched up with the AFC South, which is a little bit better division, but they get to face the Tennessee Titans a little bit later this year. The Colts are really damn good. So the South has gotten better. The Titans, that should be a win for the 49ers, but you can get an idea of how divisional strength varies from year to year. A lot of people thought the South was going to be terrible on the AFC side. It has been much better than expected because of the surge of Indianapolis. Anyway, look at where the Chicago Bears are. This is awesome. They're first place in the NFC North with a +6 differential. The Lions and the Packers both have much better differentials than the Bears, yet the Lions are 2 games behind Chicago, and the Packers have 1 fewer game in the win column than Chicago, +68. But Chicago is just finding a way to get it done. And the most recent way that the Bears got it done was through an absolute bludgeoning, like an absolute bludgeoning on the ground against the Philadelphia Eagles. I want to find that box score one more time. Here we go. I mean, this right here, upper left, 2 rushers over 125 yards. Caleb Williams only had to run 5 times for 13 yards. He had a nice first down run toward the end of the game that was very, very critical. But between their 2 backs, they had a good 250 plus yards on the ground. And they even let up toward the end of this game. 39 minutes of possession for the Bears. Absolutely savaging the previous number 3 ranked run defense in the league. That's 49ers-esque for Ben Johnson and his crew in Chicago. Ben Johnson is a legit coach. I'm seeing a lot of that in the comment section here. I am ready to answer some of your questions. I'm kind of scrolling through the comment section. Everybody keeps on saying that Brock Purdy has 1 win in the rain and the snow. I know that's an incorrect stat because he's won 2 playoff games in either rain or snow. So, I mean, it makes me wonder about all these stats getting tossed around the internet, because if I know just through my own memory that he has 2 wins and I keep on seeing 1 win, then I'm like, well, where are you guys getting your stats from? The Packers game, 2023 divisional playoff against Green Bay, drive that Purdy led that was punctuated by the Christian McCaffrey touchdown run to beat Green Bay. Then Jordan Love threw the interception to Dre Greenlaw when Dre wouldn't get down. That was a rain game. It was driving by the final drive. Like the rain was driving. The 49ers were driving too. That was a rain game for Brock Purdy, and the 49ers won. And the Seahawks game in 2022, his playoff debut against Seattle, wild card round, was also a rain game. I mean, it was really wet at the start of that game. I think it might have dried off as it went along, but in both games, Purdy produced with a wet football. He did it in Iowa State as well. 49ers fans and people who like to talk about Brock Purdy seem to have an inclination to just find whatever narrative or evidence supports their opinion, and they just apply it as if it's some kind of gospel truth, instead of just looking at the clear-cut evidence, which is large-scale efficiency, which should remove your biased eye test. And they never want to look at that. They always just want to credit the team or somebody else for any success that Brock Purdy might have. But this weather stuff is wild to me, because they have just totally disregarded the fact that Brock Purdy played in and succeeded in 2 wet playoff games in 2 separate seasons, in 2022 and 2023. And if you're unwilling to acknowledge basic facts, how can you be trusted to discuss this entire situation? I mean, if your stats for Brock Purdy are just completely wrong, like if you're saying he had 1 win in wet weather when we could easily list 2 in wet weather, then why are we even sitting here having this discussion? It's not a good faith discussion, right? So this is going to be extremely difficult on Sunday for the 49ers offense. Degree of difficulty ratcheted up to 10 between the conditions and the opponent and the star player on the other defense in Myles Garrett. It is going to be hard to the 9th power for San Francisco. But it's also one of those back up against the wall situations that I think Brock Purdy and company will really embrace, because they are coming off of a very sloppy offensive performance. He did throw 3 interceptions against the Carolina Panthers. He was protected fairly well in that game by the 49ers offensive line, and he had a good rushing attack with Christian McCaffrey, and he still wasn't able to deliver at the efficiency clip that he wanted, especially over those 3 interception drives. I've talked so much about the 49ers' troubles of not playing within themselves, Purdy especially against the Panthers. I thought that, if you just chipped away 5 yards at a time, you would have won that game. Sure, you might need a more of an explosive pass game to beat other teams on your schedule. You didn't need it against the Carolina Panthers. They weren't that good. But if the 49ers are going to get to where they want to be this year, they're going to have to be exceptionally controlling of the football. Hog the ball is what I say. We saw it with the Bears tonight. 39 minutes of possession. How many plays did the Bears run compared to the Eagles? Total plays for 85 plays for the Bears, 51 for Philadelphia. So they had the football for 2/3 of the game clock. They ran 85 plays to 51 for Philly. They ran 34 more plays. They hogged the ball, and even though the Eagles averaged more per play, it was 6.2 yards per play for Philadelphia, only 5.0 for the Bears, they beat them by 9 points. That is the type of formula that the 49ers are going to have to employ, maybe not necessarily through running for nearly 300 yards, but they have a better quarterback than the Bears. They've got Brock Purdy. The Bears have Caleb Williams. 49ers are going to have to play balanced offense, Purdy, McCaffrey, and company, hold the ball for nearly 40 minutes against some of these teams, and rack up a big play count advantage that keeps their defense fresh and exhausts the other team's defense and win games by multiple scores. We've seen the 49ers imprint their formula already. I mean, they did it against the Carolina Panthers despite the turnovers. It wasn't perfect, but ultimately the 49ers followed some of their formula. They definitely did it the week prior. And the week prior was more of a strong arm victory against the Arizona Cardinals. It was hog the ball, generate offense. I mean, that was Purdy's first game back against the Cardinals back in the desert, and allow the defense to be opportunistic. And they did that against Arizona. I don't think that they hogged it in terms of pure time of possession, but they made their plays count. Whereas the Cardinals were constantly playing from behind, and the 49ers kept everything in front of them, allowed the clock to keep on running, understood that they were down to 3 defensive ends, and won the game formulaically. Moving forward in Cleveland, that formula is going to be all the more important because of the adverse conditions, because you're probably not going to be able to come back from 2 scores down if that happens against Myles Garrett and company. So challenge on for San Francisco, and the healthiest that they've been in quite some time these past 2 weeks. The one addition to the injury report since last week, the 49ers lost Sam Okawanu, their defensive end, to a high ankle sprain. Anyway, that's the 49ers update. You guys can go watch the live from earlier this morning. We went 40 minutes, wanted to go about 30 here. We will see. I had the Fred Warner update earlier. Do I have any update on Bosa's injury? Clean ACL tear, about 9 months of recovery. He's going to be back in 2026. Bosa, I guess, is going to has become a coffee aficionado. Posted on TikTok today about his coffee making obsession. I mean, he's going in there and grinding the beans of the coffee and had the machine at home. It looked really good. I love drinking coffee as well. It looks like that's something that Nick Bosa, the Renaissance man, has taken up here in recent months or maybe recent years, but he posted about it on TikTok for the first time today. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Remember, we began this show with the fridge. William Refrigerator Perry. We're going to end the show with the fridge. It's time for some leftovers from the fridge. Day after Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Everybody have fun. We'll talk to you soon.